What an incredible series of turns there. What's going on, guys? If you want to support our content and pick up this month's amazing Patreon rewards, you can do so at patreon.com/itresolves. If you're interested in custom playmats and sleeves, visit yourplaymat.com and use code itresolves10YP for 10% off your entire purchase. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another standard gameplay video. I hope you guys are doing exceptionally well today, hopefully having a fantastic weekend. We have been constantly putting out gameplay every single day for over the about 2 months now. We're actually pushing 2 months. We're gonna try and keep that going all year, guys. I believe in us. We're doing okay so far, so I want to keep it up. We are pre-recording this, but we have got a fantastic deck today, Simic Modified. Now, this is brought to us, as was yesterday's deck, by our amazing Discord community, in particular Spinneraptor in there. Not only a mod for us, but also a fantastic deck builder. Shared this with me. I asked him to put together a few decks for the channel. He was very kind to put a handful together, and this was one of them. And I'm really excited to play this one. I think this is going to be a really sick deck. So let's kind of run through this first and foremost, because it does have some of my favorite new cards in it, in particular Kodama of the Westry. Absolutely love this card. I think this thing is fantastic. A 3/3 for 3 with reach. Modified creatures you control have trample. And then on top of that, whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you can just search your deck for a basic land, throw it onto the battlefield tapped, and move on with the day, you know? So we got a little bit of ramp there. Really like that, honestly. We also have another one, Jukin defends the temple. You get a 1/1 counter, or excuse me, a 1/1 human monk that can tap to add green to the mana pool on the first one. On number 2, you get to throw a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures, again, therefore making them modified. And then on the flip side, you have got Remnant of the Rising Star. It's a 2/2 with flying. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay X, and when you do, you put that many 1/1 counters on that creature, as long as you control 5 or more modified creatures. This gets +5/+5 and trample. Very powerful in this deck. You'll notice, obviously, a lot of our spells feature the 1/1 counters. So we've got Storm Shambler, Snakeskin Veil to protect and also give 1/1 counters. Inscription of Abundance. Not only can it give 1/1 counters, but we can also gain some life, fight some stuff off. Just a very powerful, flexible spell. Ranger class, gonna spit out a token, a creature token, but then also allow us to throw some 1/1 counters around. Decisive Denial for that fight spell, as well as countering non-creature spells. Obviously, something that we have to consider is that, you know, sweepers are very prevalent. We've got Meathook Massacre, which I'm hoping we can outpace, but there is still Doomscar. There are things that we have to look out for. Decisive Denial is a really good way to kind of shut those things down. Now, keeping in mind they can pay out of it, but theoretically, if we get to the point where they can pay out of it, they probably have lost the game. At least that's my hope. And so we'll see how that goes. We do have Kazima, God of the Voyage, which is kind of an interesting card for this deck. Not one that I would have initially thought of, but it does work very well. A 2/4 for 3 at the beginning of your upkeep, you can exile it. If you do, it gains whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. If it's exiled, you may put a Voyage counter on it. If you don't, return it to the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it and draw X cards, where X is the number of Voyage counters on it. So we're going to be learning how to really, you know, utilize this, because there's a lot of decision making with this, and I haven't truthfully played with it, which is kind of surprising because it's a Kaldheim card, but we actually haven't gotten there yet, and so I'm kind of curious to see how that goes. Orin Rifu's obviously just a really good modified engine. It's going to be able to throw 1/1 counters around, which is kind of insane. It should get out of hand very quickly. And then here at the top end, we've got, of course, Vorinclex, going to be doubling up on those counters. It also does a good job of shutting down Sagas and Planeswalkers on the opponent's side, so we'll see how that goes. And then Turn Timber Symbiosis as either a land or, of course, a way to pull out a creature from our deck and then throw those 1/1 counters on it. We do have Lair of the Hydra, but that's really it for the tech lands, and that's the whole deck. Again, Spinneraptor, thank you so much for sharing this one. I can't wait to jump into this. I really love the play style of this deck, so I'm really excited to see if we can get this one working. But let's go ahead, guys. Let's jump into the games. Let's see how we do. All right, guys, and here we are for game number 1. This is about the perfect draw for us. we've got the Swarm Shambler into the Ranger class, into the Kodama. I mean, we couldn't really ask for anything better than that, so let's hope we can get this one going. We also do get to kind of play around with Kazima here. Again, just a card that I haven't really played with, so we're going to be learning a little bit as we go today. I am very excited for this list, though. Again, the modified mechanic is one that I think is just a really good utilization of the 1/1 counters list. We've known about, you know, or there have been 1/1 counters lists for quite a while. There's also been just other ways you can modify, of course. You can equip things like that, all of which is very, very good, but just really excited to see where we can go with this one. So this is the kicker deck, if I had to guess. I'm not particularly interested in trading off here. I kind of want them to be baited into attacking so we can get an attack in with the Swarm Shambler and then theoretically ramp a little bit. Or, of course, we can just go for the Ranger class, but we'll see. Looks like they're debating on how they want to attack. I mean, the Kitesail Cleric is a freebie. We don't have reach, obviously, so... that's just a really good. We do have the Jurgen, I don't know. Let's actually go for this though. This is just a really nice little card for us. It does have reach, so it can block that Kitesail Cleric, and then in addition, it is going to set us up theoretically for a really good next couple of turns. Importantly as well though, we have a follow-up play of the same card if we needed it, so if they happen to have a removal spell, we could have actually dealt with it. Looks like we're not going to need to, though, which is helpful. Yeah. Okay, and they're just going to go for it here. That's interesting. Okay. So, again, we have some options. We can go this route, which I do kind of like. We don't have a land, which is a little bit tricky here, but we'll see what we can do. Let's go here. Okay. I think we attack with both here. I'm going to throw the counter on the Wolf to de-incentivize them from blocking up the Kodama of the West Tree. It may not work, but crucially, this now has Trample, which is really important. So they are going to double block it. That's fine. Again, this is kind of nice because while this is not a throwaway card, we do have backups, and so it's actually quite helpful for us. Let's make sure we get these in the right order. And I mean, that was a 2 for 4, so I'm kind of cool with that. Again, we have the Kodama here, and we can actually put another counter on that Swarm Shambler and hopefully get in for a good attack next turn with it. Yeah, I think we're doing okay here. They've only got 2 cards left in hand. I'm very curious to see how this actually goes. Okay, so they are going to kick it. With that in mind, I think we just do this. Kind of silly for them to kick it because we could have just done that in response, so I'm not exactly sure why they did, but that's fine. Cool. Land is really good for us here. Let's go ahead and throw that Kodama out once again. And let's get an attack in. That's going to get another counter. And now it does have tramples, so worst case scenario, we will always get some damage in with this, and we can go get our next... Oh. All right, well, there we go. We got a clean win against a very interesting deck. I'm not sold on what that deck was, but look at this, guys. We also get to rank up to Plat 4. Awesome. Let's jump into game number 2. All right, guys, and here we are for game number 2. This is an interesting hand. Unfortunately, these are going to come into play tapped. However, we do have quite a good hand here, so I think we can try and keep it. A very similar start, actually, to last game. Wow, and there we go. We're actually going to be able to get this down in order. That's about perfect. We can get that Ranger class down and then hopefully do some work here. A mulch. Oh, very interesting. Okay, so we do see that they've got quite a number of good things going here for them. So let's go ahead. Let's get this down. Very interested to see how this goes. So that Shadow's Verdict is a little scary. They also have Seize the Spoils, which does tell me they might be trying to get some stuff into the graveyard here, especially with these mulches and things. Yeah, it looks like that's probably the case. All right, well, I think we take the ramp while we can get it here by throwing that Kodama out. we do get 1 trigger off of it, which is very important for us. We'll go ahead and get a green source. One thing to note here, we don't need a ton of blue for this list. As you saw in the deck tech, the majority of the list is definitely green, so it's not that serious. All right, let's do this. Can't do both here, so I'm just gonna go ahead. I guess we should have attacked first, actually. That was a bit of a mistake, but that's okay. Let's throw the counter here. So now we get 2 triggers off of this Kodama, which is so sick to me. Again, the ramp is phenomenal here because you just have so much you can do with it later on. It's ridiculous. And we are setting up against a sweeper, so if they do decide to sweep, we've got this coming down next turn, which is relatively helpful. And again, this is very good, but we might be able to outpace this here a little bit. I'm gonna throw the counters here and here. We'll throw this out. Get that 2/2. We are gonna activate this again just to be able to throw a couple of extra counters around. And I think we attack with both of these. We'll throw a counter on both of these, so they do actually have to block one, and we still get 6 damage through, which is pretty phenomenal. We could have honestly attacked with that Swarm Shambler as well, but well, we could have attacked with basically everything and probably been okay, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and play this. I don't know that it's really gonna matter, but might as well. And we can throw an extra counter on this Swarm Shambler at some point as needed. Exile all creatures with 3 mana value or less. Okay, well, this is the trick with the deck. They obviously get to sweep, and Shadow's Verdict is about perfect for them. But we do get this in return, which is kind of phenomenal. And because of the Ranger classes that we've already set up, we kind of just get it. I mean, we can do as much as we want, really. All right. Now, again, we can't win right away. This does have summoning sickness. That's one thing that we have to consider here. Hopefully they don't have another Shadow's Verdict. Looks like they do not. They do gain some life, though, which is very good. Let's look at the top card of our deck here. Yeah, I'll play Vorinclex. I'll take the action. We'll go 2. And that does double the counters. And there we go, guys. What an incredible series of turns there. That was perfect. I couldn't have asked for anything better. Spinner Raptor, this deck is killer, man. Let's go into a game 3. All right, guys, here we are for game number 3. This is a much slower hand than what we have seen in the previous 2 games. Now, the question is, do we want to keep based on these alone? Truthfully, this is going to be a little lackluster, I would imagine, but you know what? Let's try it. This is not a good keep, in my opinion, but it is something I'm going to try for. We'll lead on this Cascade, and what that allows us to do is Decisive Denial turn 2 if we need to, which is certainly going to be potentially helpful. Looks like this might be an Is It deck, which is certainly a bit scary, but we should be able to manage. Let's go ahead and drop the Temple here. Get this little monk down, and actually next turn this does allow us to get Vorinclex out. Now, truth be told, they probably have a burn spell. And I'm sure they would take this out if they can, so I'm not expecting this to actually stick around. However, we do have follow-up ones, so they are going to have multiple burn spells in a row to kind of get this going. And they Cinderclasm for it. That's interesting. It makes sense because it only deals 1 damage. However, kind of a curious way to do it. Unfortunately, we do lose the counters there. Let's go ahead and hit another one. Might as well. And eventually, of course, our next turn, this one will flip. So we are kind of, again, setting ourselves up for those next few turns that are just going to be able to throw out some creatures that they will have to deal with at some point here. So we'll see if this actually works out, but I feel relatively confident about the next few turns being set up in the best way possible. Sure. This is annoying but fine because, again, we have now got a second island, so what we can do is throw the other temple down and then still leave up the Decisive Denial. We'll have this flipped at the beginning of the next turn as well, so kind of curious to see how this goes. Looks like Memory Deluge is the card they threw in the graveyard here, as well as a land. Okay. There is our 6th land, which is very crucial for us because we do want to get that boring flex down. Let's make sure we do this. Let's do this. We just have so many of these. It's ridiculous. Now, what we can do is get a couple counters here. You know, I think I'm going to go for it. There's nothing too crazy that I'd like to counter here, and I want to kind of take advantage while, you know, they do have a lot of burn. This gets this out of range of the Prismari command. Looks like they just have a Fading Hope, sure. You know, that was a risk we were kind of taking. We figured they would have some kind of burn spell, and to be honest, I wasn't thinking Fading Hope, but it does make a lot of sense. It's an Is-It deck. I should have been. One thing to note also, guys, I had somebody, and this is okay. Anybody's welcome to comment positive or negative things. It's fine. However, when I played the mono green list, which was an MTG Arena zone list, one thing to note is that a lot of the time I am still learning the list. I'm going to decline here so we can get the boring flex down. What that means, though, is that I'm not going to play perfectly. There's just no way I'm going to, and that's okay. But somebody really was like, it just seemed like, I will say, they were fairly upset. They were like, man, you should really learn how to play mono green and that kind of thing. I get it. It was my mistake. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to make silly mistakes. You know, it's going to happen. But just be aware that as we are playing a new deck every single day, it does take a lot of time, and it doesn't allow me to sit there and just completely focus on the same deck over and over again. And so I'm learning essentially a new deck every single day. And yes, there will be misplays, but the reason I like to do it this way is because we get to not only see a variety of decks and hopefully have some fun with a variety of decks, but two, we also, ooh, that decisive denial is going to be really good. All right, hold on. Let me beat them really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can throw this out for 5. All right, there we go. We won. But just keep in mind, guys, I know we're learning. It's okay. I'm gonna make misplays. So anyway, guys, we still have time for another game. So far, we're undefeated with this list. Let's see if we can get another one. And here we are, guys. This will be our final game, most likely. But yeah, I think this is a pretty easy keep. We've got that snakeskin veil to kind of protect whatever we need to throw out here. We also just have that ranger class, so I'm kind of curious to see what they end up with. Would absolutely love a Kodama at this point. Let's do this. Let's attack first. If they have a burn spell, great. We can actually get rid of that. They did not have a spell. With that in mind, I'm going to go Ranger class. Now, they may have a burn spell coming down at some point here, and that's going to be kind of annoying. But the lack of snowland here is really interesting. Okay. Maybe they don't. That's fine by me. Let's drop you. All right, I'm going to attack in first. Let's see what they do. I assume they just take it. Cool. And I think we go this route to get the ramp going as quickly as we can. I think that's probably the correct play. We do have a Vorinclex in hand, so we do want to get there if we can. Jund with Prosperous Innkeeper. Old Rutstein. What a cool card. Man, I love this card. For those of you who don't know, I love this card. I think it's hilarious. All right, we'll put a counter on each of these. What that allows us to do is throw this out and then really get some counters going. I think we will do. Granted, it doesn't hit. It's only when this attacks, just to be clear. They have a Syncopate. Yeah, that's fine. Yo, I mean, I could pay the 1, but I'm really not worried about it. We have a Snakeskin Veil as well here. So what I'm going to do is attack with these two. I really hope they block the 3/3. Okay. Kind of a mistake, but yeah, what we could have done is left this up. That was a bit of a mistake on my end too, but that's okay. They have a burn down the house. Oh, interesting. Weird that they have Syncopate. So this is just an odd deck. I mean, obviously a graveyard focused deck. Ah, Jin-Gitaxias. Okay, that's what we're looking at. Cool. Very, very cool. All right. Nice. So what can we do here? We're gonna throw a counter on the ranger class here, and then I think what we'll do is attack with the wolf. That's gonna throw a counter on it. I assume they don't block. So then what we get to do do this, and get rid of the old Rutstein. They've already got the Jin-Gitaxias in the graveyard, so this really isn't a massive play, but what it is doing... Oh, it's just going to burn a counter. My goal was to just kind of get rid of the enabler here, because they are going to get long-term value out of it, and they do have the Diregraph Rebirth. 4, 5, 6, so they're 1 mana short. If they have a land in hand, they can just get this down. Whenever an opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, counter it. The only good news there is most of our deck is the creature deck. So, like, ooh, they have Olivia as well. Very cool. So we do have some positivity going through that, but chances are we're going to have a hard time against it. We'll see. Really would love a land. That's kind of what we're lacking at this point. Yeah. I'm gonna throw this down. Let's see what they have. I'm gonna take the action, pay 1, just to get a counter on it, and then we attack with these two. I think we go in the air. We are going to have to fight an Olivia at some point here, but this now gets a lot of power. Kind of ridiculous amount. Okay, so they are down to 3, and we have quite a good board here. So the hope is either they have to sweep, or they play their reanimation stuff, which is kind of okay because we can fight through it. Toxrill is very good, but this is so solid. 5 or more modified creatures. And there we go, guys. A 4th win with Simic modified. What an incredible deck. We are going to go ahead and chat about this one. All right, so first and foremost, again, Spinneraptor, I just want to say a massive thank you. This deck performed amazingly. Despite, I think, some misplays on my end, we still were able to get 4 consecutive wins and go for an undefeated run with this. That's incredible to me. I absolutely love this list. I think it's perfect. It does feature my favorite card, one of my favorite cards, Kodama of the Westry, and you get to see it really do its thing in this list because you've got so many little modified, you know, Swarm Shamblers, things like that, that you can really get a lot of trample damage in and then ramp into whatever we need to. And we saw it in that last game perform very, very well under a very difficult circumstance, in my opinion, with that old Rutstein engine kind of going, and they already had the cards in the graveyard. They were 1 mana short of getting their Olivia back and then getting their Jin-Gitaxias back. I had to imagine that we were in big, big trouble on the following turn. But under 3 lands, we were still able to get the win. That's pretty phenomenal. So absolutely, definitely recommend this deck. It is a little bit heavy in the wildcard slot, so if you don't have all the cards, can be a bit expensive, but it's worth it. I mean, we got 4 straight wins. That's pretty amazing. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. If you're not already, it really does help support us. It's also a great way to enter all future giveaways, including the one we've got going on right now for the Kamigawa Draft Booster Box. Please check that out. Details over on our website at resolvesmtg.com, as well as on our homepage on YouTube. We've got a little video on it. But guys, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend. We'll see you again very soon.